Hey y'all, this is Jared with Fluty Homestead, and boy, it's a hot day here today. Gonna be close to 100. I broke out my big straw hat trying to make a little shade, and I thought I'd just show you a few things around the place today. I got me a new little garden tool I want to show you that I really like, and found something up here by the beehive that's good. So I'll take you up here and show you what I got going on here. Alrighty, now this week we're going to be having some pretty weather coming up, so I've took my scraper blade off after I pushed around the little dirt and manure I had, and I've hooked my sickle bar up, and this is a Ford 501 sickle bar. I think it's a 6-foot bar. Yeah, I'm 6 foot, about 6 foot, and I got it all hooked up except I got to hook up the stabilizer arm. Just got to do that, and that goes right there on your 3-point. And that's what helps keep it level when you lift your bar. This right here puts tension on this big spring underneath, and that's what holds your bar level when you raise it up and down. And hopefully by Thursday or Friday we will start cutting some hay. I'm going to change the oil on this tractor, check all the fluids, check the tires, grease everything up. There's a lot of grease fittings on all this hay machinery. Every place something moves, there's a grease fitting. I'm going to clean up a little of this old hay and stuff and check it all out. Pitman arm should be good to go. We put it on new last year, and which if you do any hay, you know you're going to be changing several of these if you do much. So that's what I got. We put that bar on it last year, the other cutting bar on it last year, and we're going to get ready to go. I'll show you whenever I get the baler out and check all it out, and hopefully have a good hay cutting. Alrighty, right here is the new tool I bought. This is a stirrup hoe, or a weeding hoe, and I got this after I watched Danny with Deep South Homestead. I watched him using one of these, and also I think I seen the Stony Ridge farmer using one, and that's one of the garden tools I actually didn't have, so I got online and ordered me one. And so far I love it. It's really good in my raised bed where the ground is so loose. But surprisingly, even in this rocky soil, it does real well. And I haven't got in here much yet with it because it has been raining. Seems like every other day we've had a big rain here. So for the last week or maybe 2. So you see the weeds is coming in my garden. So I'm going to have to get in here and get all them out. I'm getting ready to pick the beets one day soon. They're about that big, perfect size to can, like the baby beets. And my peppers, I've picked a few peppers. We've picked some tomatoes and cucumbers and zucchini. And I want to show you one thing that I got new, and then I'll show you how this hoe works while I'm looking at it. I've got 40 tobacco plants out. A friend of mine gave me these tobacco plants, and I'm not sure what variety they are. They come out of Morgan County, Kentucky, and hard to see them for the weeds, but hopefully they do real good. And I always wanted to grow it, and hopefully we'll make us some big Appalachia twist with them. And I just grow. You can't sell it or nothing. I can't, but I just wanted to grow it because I come from a long line of tobacco farmers on my dad's side, and I just wanted to see if we could do it and make some twist chewing tobacco out of it, just for fun. So that's what I'm going to do with that. We got about 40 out, so we'll see how it goes and show you how I work with it on the way. Alrighty, I've got this stirrup pole here. And I left my tripod at the house, so I'm going to have to try to use it with one hand. It works really good when I got 2 hands. But you can use, this thing has a sharp cutting edge on both sides, front and back. So you can cut weeds coming and going. And works better with 2 hands. But you can see it, I mean, it slices them off under the ground. Cuts the roots off. And then they'll lay there and shrivel up in the sun. I used it a little bit the other day, and I was really happy with it. I mean, that's one hand right there going forwards. And in soft ground, it is a breeze to use. I mean, you know how rocky my ground is here. if you've seen my gardening on a rock video. But I mean, that's one-handed pushing it. I mean, you can't get much easier than that. And that's crabgrass I'm cutting through. All kinds of weeds I've got. But I mean, if I hadn't let these weeds get, which I couldn't help it for the rain, well, you could come through here in 10 minutes. I could have this little garden knocked out. Every now and then I hit a little rock, but I mean, you see, that does pretty good. All them weeds is cut. They're just laying there. The roots is cut off. I'm going to take and go over this whole garden here today and try to get all the weeds out of it. You can see there, it just kind of glides along, and it's good to getting up close to plants. Like these beans right here, see that chinchweed we call it? I just push it right up against her, buddy. And now out here the ground's kind of hard and there's a rock, so I'll have to get that when I got 2 hands to work with. But I am well pleased. I got to get in these tomato and bean rows here today. I can't stand all these weeds. But I like this better than a regular hoe for just weeding. Now if I want to hill dirt up and stuff, you know, well, I'll get out my hoe. While I got you here, I'll show you some of my greasy beans. Let's see, where are they at? There's one. They're starting to come on good. Loaded with blooms. You see, here's a pot of beans. These are almost ready to pick. They're filling out. These are a little old bean. If you ever grew a greasy bean, these are a brown striped greasy bean, old Appalachian bean. And they don't get very big, but they're delicious. Here's a bunch hanging in the wads in here. And they're almost full enough to pick. A couple more days, and I'll probably get in here and I'll have probably maybe a peck basket of them for the first picking, maybe more. But when you can see, it's hard for me to walk through. There's so many blooms. But I mean, they are thick as ticks on a dog's back. I got a row and a half of them. And of course, there's our tobacco. My peppers is coming along pretty good now. I've got jalapenos hanging here. These plants are about waist high. I've got jalapenos coming on, and I've got banana peppers on down here I've been picking out of. Here's 3 rows, 2 rows of rattlesnake pole beans, and they are loaded with blooms, and they are starting to get some little beans. Let's see, right there's a couple little beans hanging in there. This is a little tiny row. I grew this little row from my mother-in-law. She likes the white half runner. And since I've been growing rattlesnake beans, I do not grow many white half runners. But this is her little row. Some of our zucchini and squash. I picked one off here yesterday, I think it was. And up right there's another. You'll see him. I'll get him later today. I don't like them much longer than your hand. And our cucumbers, right there's some I'll be picking later. These are Market More 76. I see 1, 2, maybe 3 I can pick. And the tomatoes, I've picked I think 3 or 4 of the black creme and Cherokee purple. So this little garden is doing really good. And if you haven't seen some of my other videos, this garden was cut out of this hill. My hill, let me get back here, I'll show you. The hill used to come straight off right here. And this was full of boulders and rocks and big old trees. And I had an excavator come in here and dig it out. I was going to build a barn here. And changed my mind. And now I got the garden there. And so far it's doing good. This second or third year. Alrighty, I'm going to take you up here real quick. Give you a little update. Here's some of my pumpkin vines. They're running out pretty good. And I've seen a few little blooms coming on them. I ain't found no pumpkins yet. move this little feller, start him down the hill. You gotta keep these trained if you don't want them going everywhere. Here's a little blueberry bush I planted where the, have you all seen where I had the gooseberry bush here? It didn't make it, and Lowe's had these, they had some blackberries and blueberry bushes for $4 a piece, so I bought me one of each. So we'll see how they do. I gotta get up here with the weed eater now that the rain has finally stopped. And I gotta get these Japanese beetles under control on my blackberries. They're starting to eat them, but the blackberry bushes are doing good. Got some little berries coming on them. And these are slower than the wild blackberries. We've been picking wild blackberries, and I'll do a video on that too. And we picked some wild black raspberries the other day. All right, here, this little row of beans, it's about a 15-foot row. I just planted this so I could get seed. This is old-fashioned cornfield beans that a man gave me. These seeds were 20 years old. But everyone come up doing good. Here's some more pumpkins. And they're starting to vine good. I'm going to get them started getting trained so they don't get over in them beans. But I think these are all white boar pumpkins, this little row. And they got to be hoed out and weeded. And my other little pumpkin patch over here got to be weeded out now that the rain's over. They're starting to vine, and there's several kinds over here. And I had one little seed of my old-fashioned speckled corn come up over here. I think the crows got in here and ate most of it. So there may be a few more in there. I might see one down there. But I don't know if I'll replant any of it yet this year or wait till next year. I'm hoping my seed isn't bad. I hadn't planted it in a few years, so we'll see. Up here, this is where the peas was. It's all got to be mowed down. Been too wet for me to get up here cutting. And these are Missouri Wonder beans, and they're starting to vine good. Got to get in here and weed. I'll probably run the weed eater through these rows. Here's the ambrosia corn patch, and if you think it looks short, yeah, I know, but ambrosia is a short corn. I mean, this ambrosia don't get hardly 5 feet tall by the time it's tousled out. So it's starting to get shoots on it, and the Japanese beetles is getting on me, so I'm going to have to come through here. A lot of times I'll take like a coffee can with soapy water, and I'll pick them off in it every day or two. So I may have to do that today before they get overwhelmed. Here's a dog tick plant come up for me. These are just supposed to, they call them a mole bean sometimes. They're just a kind of a pretty plant that's just they say to keep moles away. The pods will fall down, and I reckon the pods are poisonous. I ain't gonna hoe this corn no more, but I am gonna bring my weed eater through the row. Right here is some of the butternut squash. They're vining a little bit. There's several of them in here, and they're doing pretty good. One or two more things I'll show you before I get off of here. My honeybees are doing real well. Hope y'all seen the video. I got them put in their hive. And so far they're working like crazy, and they're bringing in some pollen. And I had been feeding them a little bit so they can get the comb built out. And this week I'm going to get in the hive and check them out and see how much comb they've built. And see if they're almost ready for I doubt they're ready for a super yet, but I'm going to check them out. But you can see them working if I can zoom in here. So far they seem to be pretty gentle bees, and I like that a lot. I don't like mean bees. Beautiful day here. Alrighty, one more thing I want to show you while I'm up here on the hill. If I don't get in the bees' way here and get stung. Alrighty, I don't know how many of y'all know what this tree is. Hard to see it, I guess, right here. Watch for a snake too up here. But if you look at the bark of it, Some of you may recognize them. Got slick bark. Grows pretty well all in the eastern United States. Got these big old green leaves. If you know what this tree is, comment down below before I tell you. I'll give you a few minutes. Look real close if you see anything hanging in this tree. Yep. Right there, these are, this is a Paw-Paw tree. And, or a Appalachian banana tree, or whatever you want to call it. But this little fella, this is the first year he's had Paw-Paws on him. And there's two kind of grew together right there. And I don't see many on this tree yet, but this is the first year he's bared. And the frost, I think, killed some of my bloom. But I've seen that Paw-Paw, and can't see the other one. I've seen another one on it. And then here is a whole little grove of Paw-Paw trees up here. There's about 5 right there together in a bunch. And I think there's only one Paw-Paw on all of them so far. But they say that a Paw-Paw tree can take up to 8 years to bear fruit. 4 to 8 years, they say. I don't know the exact science on it. But in my pasture down there by the barn, I have probably 100 of these Paw-Paw trees that's young, where we cleared the forest out there. So hopefully in the next few years, we'll be loaded down with Paw-Paws. They're pretty good. They're kind of like a banana, and I don't know, they got their own taste. I had to come up here and get rid of some poison ivy while I'm trying to clean this fence row out. But that's all I wanted to talk to you about, show you my new stirrup hoe. And if you need you a good hoe for the garden, the weed, I highly recommend one of them stirrup hoes. It's a beautiful, beautiful day here in Appalachia. Everything's green and pretty. Blue skies. Going to be cutting hay in the next week probably, so we'll have video of that. But still going to try to do my screened-in porch video for you and a couple things. So I'll be back on a regular schedule when I get a few projects going. But just wanted to check in with y'all, tell you I appreciate you for watching. And please like and subscribe and share us on your Facebook and stuff. And I hope y'all have a very blessed day.